Most stories begin with a blank page. Mine begins with a shadow. It was mid-October. The summer warmth was gone and the cold of winter had started moving in. The skies were clear and the moon shone brightly over the neighborhood. The air outside was cool and crisp, and from my cup of pumpkin cinnamon tea, steam rose up. The chilly winds brought hints of humidity and decaying leaves. I leaned against the railing of my porch and looked around my yard. I had raked the fallen leaves into piles and collected them into bags that I'd placed next to my garden shed. My gaze lingered for a while as I noticed something tall and dark behind the shed. I thought it might have been a shadow formed by either one of the trees or maybe something else, but the longer I stared, nothing in my garden or between the shadow and the streetlight could have cast that kind of darkness. Now, I've seen enough horror movies to know that I should not go check what it is, so I went inside, closed and locked the door behind me, and sat down on my chair next to my fireplace. The only sound in the house came from the crackling fire, spreading warmth across the room. I read a book about haunting stories and unfading echoes, perfect after seeing a chilling shadow outside. When I was done reading, I stepped into the kitchen and put my cup in the washer. I glanced out the window towards the shed. There was no shadow, so I figured it must have been a trick of the light earlier after all. I brushed my teeth and went to bed. I didn't think about the shadow anymore that night. The next night I stood on my porch again. The moon wasn't full anymore, and there were some clouds in the sky blocking parts of the moonlight. In between the darkness, I could see the shadow again, but it wasn't behind the shed anymore. It stood in the open, next to the shed. It didn't cast a shadow of its own. A chill went down my spine. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I blinked. It was gone. I didn't go outside the next night, or the one after that. Every night I looked out the window. Every time it seemed closer. Not a lot, but enough for me to notice. I called a close friend of mine. He said that I'd been under a lot of stress lately because of work and other things. He was right. I had told him about it several times over the last few weeks. So I did some breathing exercises to calm down and had a cup of chamomile tea. I brushed my teeth and went to bed. I woke up with a jolt. It was dark outside. I looked at the clock. 3:03. I realized that my sheets were damp, and so was the pillow. I had woken up in a sweat. I didn't understand why at first, but then fragments of a dream came to me. The shadow, darkness, the feeling of dread, running, the feeling of being stuck without a way to escape. I stayed up for the remainder of that night, not feeling like going back to sleep. The next day went by uneventful. I thought maybe I'd gotten whatever it was out of my system. Not having slept properly, I was about as spry as a sack of potatoes. I went to work, surviving on caffeine and spite, and a bit of keeping busy. When I got home, I crashed on the couch, turned on the TV, and ordered a pizza. I must have been on the verge of falling asleep. Within the hour, there was a loud knocking. It sounded like it surrounded me. There was another knocking, followed by a "Hello? Pizza delivery?" from the pizza lady. I stretched and walked to the door. I opened it, paid for the pizza, and thanked the lady. Funny, when I think back on it, I think she glanced behind me. Not for long, just a glimpse. The warmth of the box in my hand felt soothing and comforting. I placed it on the counter. I wasn't really hungry anymore, even though I ordered my favorite. Shredded ham, fries, and ground garlic strewn over it. I'll eat the pizza tomorrow, I thought to myself. I got ready for bed. I brushed my teeth as usual, got into my comfortable bed, and turned out the lights. I woke up. The house was quiet. No sounds outside either, more than a few rustling leaves clinging onto the trees for dear life. My room was dark, except for the sliver of light reaching in from the street. My breath was slow and steady, and so was my pulse. I glanced at my alarm clock, strategically placed on the dresser across the room. 3:03. I knew I was awake because dreams don't feel the same. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't cooperate. I couldn't even wiggle my toes or move my fingers. My breath was still steady and slow, but I felt like a pressure on my chest. I tried to move again. Still nothing. I was starting to sense panic creeping up, but I forced it back down. I knew of sleep paralysis. I just hadn't experienced it before. In the corner of my eye, to the left of the dresser, I saw something dark move. It rose slowly from what I presume was a crouching position to standing up. It was tall. It easily reached from the floor to the ceiling. It couldn't stand up completely straight though, because it still looked like it hunched over. I think I heard it breathing. Slow, raspy breaths. I couldn't make out any features other than it was tall and lanky. Its breaths matched mine. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. I could see the silhouette move as it breathed. Then it moved. Not slowly, not cautiously. It almost looked as it was fast-forwarded towards me. It crossed the room in what felt like a blink of time. It stood next to my bed. It leaned over me. Its face was inches from mine. For every time I exhaled, it inhaled. For every time I inhaled, it exhaled. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. It felt like an eternity. It opened its eyes. They were dark, like polished obsidian. It opened its mouth. Its breath was like a mix of sulfur and decay, like rotten eggs and animal remains. The teeth were also dark in color and reminded me of anglerfish teeth. It took a deep breath and I could feel life leaving my body. It got completely quiet. Then, a scream. I closed my eyes and thought, this is it. This is how it ends. Then, it stopped. I opened my eyes. I looked around the room. There was nothing there. I tried to move again, and this time I could. I turned on the lights. No signs of anyone or anything. I looked at the time. 7:13. I rushed to get ready for work. Didn't stop to brush my teeth or comb my hair, just threw some clothes on and off to work I went. I was still tired, still shaken. Work went on as usual. I wrote emails few people read. I replied to emails explaining why people aren't allowed to install anything they want on their computers. I felt like the coffee wasn't strong enough to have an effect on me. A colleague stopped by my desk. "Rough night?" he asked. "Yeah, that's one way to put it. Didn't sleep well," I replied. He tilted his head a little and asked, "Your hair, did you dye it?" "No, why?" I asked, a little annoyed. "It's gray, like all of it." I tried to laugh it off. I excused myself and went to the bathroom. In the mirror I saw someone who looked like me, I was met by my reflection, but my hair had actually turned grey. He was right. The day before, my hair was dark brown. The light flickered. I heard a thump in a stall behind me. In the mirror, I saw a shadow.
These stories are getting better and better. I'm not sure I'll be able to sleep tonight. Anyway, maybe a few viewers will stay awake too, hehe. Thanks for watching. Thomas, is your computer done yet? Did you switch the motherboard?